Here we are at the at Live with Joan. Forget where we are. At Live with Joan, and it's the first Joan's Animal Book Club. And today is the Gentle Barn, my Gentle Barn with Ellie Lax, and I'm so excited that you're here. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here.
And we're gonna wait for a few minutes as people come on. So I always do a little blah 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 introduction. So if you're new to me, my name is Joan Ranquet. I'm an animal communicator, healer, author, TEDx speaker, and founder of Communication with All Life University. And in the university, we have programs for people to become animal communicators, energy healers, and we're building out a wildlife and nature section. And actually, you could do all of it. And we've got lots of fun classes coming up. But we also, in this group, we have had a really great group mission of healing, helping 5 million animals. Last year it was 1 million. This year we went up to 5 million animals. And so I want for everybody to still keep true to your mission. And if you haven't put mission in, what did we have that as, Claudia?
Hashtag mission 2020.
Yeah, because only a couple people have put that up. And so I always like to review my mission every day. And my mission is, I am here to empower others to deeply connect with all life, so together we can give voice to those who can't speak for themselves and ultimately raise the frequency of the planet. So, and then we put a number on it saying we're going to help 5 million animals. And this one right here has certainly helped 5 million animals. Is anyone here?
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Is anyone here?
Just checking.
Okay.
And this is my cup today. I run on caffeine, horses, and cuss words. And I have a new horse, and we'll talk about that a little later, but I am really running on caffeine, horses, and cuss words. Everybody's witnessed some of the high drama here today.
Okay, so Lorraine Bollander says, so excited to see this.
Oh.
You and me both. Leslie Williams says, hi. Paula Wheeler, hi, beautiful ladies. Colette says, hello, gals. Yay, so happy for this session.
Hooray.
Cindy Gans Turner, hi, everyone. I'm so excited to listen to Ellie.
Me too.
Me too. Christine Daigle Cole says, hi, ladies. Yasmin says, hi, lovely ladies. So wonderful to see you both.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I've always wanted to do a book club, and the book club I've always wanted to do is, I call it Joan's Animal Book Club, where we get to either read about an animal and discuss and meet the author, or read about somebody who's devoted their life to animals. And this is somebody that has certainly devoted her life to animals and to a really big cause, and you have done an amazing job. So first I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for this book, and I want to thank you for the work that you do, because you do amazing work on the planet.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I wanted just say, it's funny because I read this before, because I had you on, I co-hosted with In Defense of Animals a summit called Hope for Animals Summit, and you were one of the guests. So I read it then, and I didn't know you. I just wanted to meet you, and then your husband said you already had an animal communicator with you. So,
Terrible.
Anyway, it was fine. I was like, that's awesome. I want to still go and meet and support and be part of. And so when I read the book, it was great. But now that I know you and to read it again, like I hear you telling me every single story. Don't you feel that way, Claudia?
I was just telling Jay that I'm like, as I'm reading the book, I'm like, I know these people. I know this story.
The cadence even of your voice is in the So it's so great. And so I always like to start when I interview somebody that's done something with animals. Was there, and I know it's in the book, but if there was one animal, even in your childhood, that you would say completely made you, like for me, I tell the story in my book about Pet One and Pony Boy, like it was that one. Who would you say put you on this path? Or was it a collective?
I mean, it was definitely a collective. The butterflies in the field when I was 5, the hummingbird that saved my life after my suicide attempt when I was 7, my parakeet Puff, who traveled with me across the country. But if I had to name one, and the horses. You know, I started riding horses when I was little, and all those horses in that stable were my therapists, my friends, and my motivation. But I think that if I had to name one single one, it would have to be my dog Simon.
Oh.
Yeah. I was little. I was 4 years old, and I heard I had gone to sleep already, and I heard a ruckus downstairs in the kitchen. And I went downstairs, and it looked to me like my parents had a tiger chained to the table in the kitchen, and I couldn't figure out why they had a tiger in the kitchen. And they told me to go to bed, and the next day I got to come down and find out it wasn't a tiger, it was a puppy.
Oh my God, that's great.
And I just took one look at him and said, "You're going to be my best friend." And he was. We went everywhere together. We played in the lakes and the woods. He would help me with my rescued animals. I remember this one time a bunny got out of my grasp and started running towards the edge of the porch, and she would have fallen and gotten very injured. And I didn't say a word, but he ran and held the bunny for me until I got there. And I mean, I could tell a million stories about him. He was my absolute soulmate and best friend. And he listened when I cried. He reminded me that I had worth and value when I didn't feel that from my human community. And he made me really see that animals are teachers, healers, and friends. And so I think the way that I see animals and the way that I'm trying to help the world see animals is because I could see him so clearly and he saw me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had a childhood dog named Penny. Now I have a Penelope that was, yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. So when you first started, and I know I've asked people in the group if they have a favorite point in the book, and I had marked she got the Kleenex out. Yeah, I have several favorite parts in the book, but what inspired you to write the book?
You know, for whatever reason, I always just felt like there was a story in there.
Like every one of these chapters could be an entire year episode of a TV show.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I always felt so alone in my obsession with animals. And I always felt like there was something wrong with me. And when I grew up and started the Gentle Barn, I started seeing that I wasn't alone. Volunteers came with the same stories of loving animals and feeling like misfits. Visitors came with the same stories. The groups of children that we healed came with the same stories. And I realized that I wasn't unique in that way. And so I think one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book is to kind of connect to all the people all over the world that have felt at one time in their life as a misfit. And it doesn't mean just a misfit in loving animals. It could be a misfit being gay, or a misfit being socially awkward, or a misfit being not able to sit still in a classroom, or a misfit not really identifying with the religion that we're raised with. There's so many ways in school, in our communities, in our homes of origin, where we're made to feel like we need to be a certain way, and when we're not that certain way, we carry a pain that I understand all too well. And I think that I just wanted to inspire people around the world that had that pain and that shame, that we're supposed to be the way that we are. Maybe our beginnings make us feel like there's something wrong with us, but the truth is that we're exactly how we should be, and we're exactly where we should be. And when we can grow up and really embrace ourselves and shine that light for the world to see, we do nothing but inspire and benefit this world. Yeah. And so I think that that was probably the driving force behind my book. One of them, anyway.
And then a book deal helped, but yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And I think when you say it like that, you know, even though we connect over animals, I think largely what you do with the Gentle Barn, we'll break down for everybody if you don't know what the Gentle Barn does. I'll just say it really quickly. It's a place where animals are healed from trauma, and then they help children heal, right, or adults. And so it doesn't matter if people love animals like you do. To have that group come, they're still going to connect to something where they've been disconnected and disenfranchised before. So that's a really cool aspect of what you do. And they don't have to leave loving animals in the way we do, but they feel connected.
Yeah, I mean, if people can leave a little bit more open, a little bit softer, and a little bit more connected, we've done some good. There's this epidemic that is happening where we're covering nature up in concrete, chopping down the trees, removing the animals from our neighborhoods, and we're sitting there on our phones in this high-paced, fast-tracked world. And we're disconnected from nature, we're disconnected from animals, and ultimately we're disconnected from ourselves. And where that's leading us is the demise of this planet, the illness in our bodies, and the suffering of everyone around us. And I call this era in our lives, I call it the Great Awakening. It's time for us to awaken to compassion. We've gone through the physical evolution of our species, and we've gone through the technological evolution of our species. And now what's in front of us is the spiritual awakening of our species, where we realize that we are not at the top of the food chain, we are part of it. We are not...
We're right, yeah.
Right?
In it.
We're not here to dominate the web of life. We are a strand in the web of life, and we're here to lift each other up and to be part of this bigger community with all of nature, with all of life, with all of animals. And when we can really recognize that we're all one, then, oh my God, the planet's gonna thrive, we're gonna thrive, the animals are gonna thrive, and that is the only way, in my opinion, that we're gonna move into a happy, healthy, thriving future. And that's why I'm so grateful for what you do, because you're making those connections every single day.
I think animal communication is the key to world peace, but that's another topic.
But I agree.
Yeah. And to end suffering, because I think if people knew about animal communication, they'd have to make different choices.
Yeah.
But
I think we have a bunch of agreement on this end too.
Okay, good. Hey, do you want to show her real quick the thing on the wall? You don't know what's on the wall over there. Because it's exactly what... do you mind? I'm sorry, Claudia. So I used to say that there was an invisible sign above the door when you came to class, and it said, "You love animals, you have probably been the weirdo most of your life, you've been overly sensitive your whole life, and now you're home." And that's literally what my school is about.
I'm just gonna...
That's beautiful.
Yeah, and then one of my students, graduates, teachers, painted that for me. She made, so now I have a literal sign.
That's beautiful. I think I need to get one of those and hang it above the gentle barn.
Okay, she loves the Gentle Barn, and she's a vegan, so she would cheerfully do it. So I wanted to just really it's so funny because I know I read it, then I got to know you, and now I read it again, and then I went on a hike with you, and you came with your slippers on.
I took a picture of that.
Mine has spinach on it, I think. Oh, it fell off. Anyway.
I showed up today for our hike with our dogs wearing my slippers.
Yeah, which is something I would do.
And had to borrow a pair of shoes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm not fully in my body most of the time.
I'd like to say I don't understand what the two of you are going through, but unfortunately I've done the same thing. So.
It was good. It was good. So when you, how long did it take you to write your book?
It took me about 2.5 years. So I knew that there was a story there, but I didn't really know how to structure it or where to start or how to write it. And so my daughter Cheyenne, she's now 14, but the year before she was about to go to kindergarten, when she was a baby, I used to write when she would nap and as soon as she went to sleep. Because I knew that once she went to kindergarten, I would return to work full-time at the Gentle Barn and I would have no time or luxury to write. And so I didn't know how to like really structure it, so I just started at the beginning of my story, like, okay, let's start at my childhood.
Yeah.
And so I just wrote as fast as I could and as much as I could for that year. And then when she went to kindergarten and I returned full-time to the Gentle Barn, I was approached by an agent who said, "I follow the Gentle Barn, you do amazing work, I think you need to write a book." And I was like, well, I'm so glad you said that, because I just spent a year writing. So she helped me pair with a ghostwriter because I didn't have the time to write full-time. And I basically gave everything that I wrote to the ghostwriter, and then she did a lot of interviews and she helped me kind of start and structure the book. And so did Random House. They had a very involved editor that helped us structure the book as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great, and I spilled coffee on it, so it's really mine. And
so from start to finish, it was probably like a two-ish year process.
And then it's always been another year to get it out, and and I asked people in the Facebook group, what is your favorite part? And I know Lorraine Bollinger said that her favorite part was when you met Jay and you guys started working together, and that's really a great thing. So if anyone wants to type into the group what your favorite part is, that would be really fun. We'll go through that. I know that I think my favorite part is I think really that period of meeting Jay also, of like when you guys really started going, because you had the support, and you can't do this sort of work without that kind of support. I have a different kind of support, but it's just a pile of animals. But I think that when you are living with someone that's not supporting it, it's so evident,
Well, and you have your marketing team, and you have people that come and help you.
Team.
Every visionary or creative person needs someone to come and help them with the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can heal animals and people all day long, but as far as fundraisers and events and board of directors and the logistics and the vision, and I want in 5 years I want to get to here, how do I do that? That's where Jay comes in. And I was tinkering around a half-acre backyard until he found me, and he brought us to 20 acres in Los Angeles and St. Louis and Nashville. So I think without Jay, I'd probably still be tinkering around a backyard. I would be blissfully happy, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wouldn't have such an impact on the world and animals and people. And this lifetime for me, I want to have as big an impact as I possibly can. So Jay was definitely my hero and knight in shining armor that came and helped me do that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. We always joke that we're from the same, like we agreed, we're splitting at the soul here. We're going to go off and do, you tell it better.
Well, Joan and I split from the same egg. And then we decided she was going to be the animal communicator and I was going to be the rescuer, and we were going to go off and do...
And we thought about switching. I mean, and I have all rescued animals and she's an animal communicator, but we stuck with our tracks.
Yeah, and then we were like, at some point we're going to find each other and we're going to meet, and then we can be on this planet at the same time and do this work from different angles, but really the same work. So it's really exciting.
So we've got some people, but before I read Cindy's, I want to say my favorite part is when Buddha told you her name.
Yeah, I think that's also my favorite part.
Okay, so Cindy Gans Turner says, I love the part where Ellie went every day and waited for the lady to finally decide to give her Mary. Day after day with a baby in tow. She finally won Mary and I cried and cried. Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I mean, I felt like crying every page.
Yeah.
But I also felt like the lightness of it all. Like, I think the one thing, you have more of a Pollyanna than I do, and I thought I can really Pollyanna out, right? Like I can live in my own beautiful world, but you take it to another level. She
does. I agree.
I want what she's having.
I want what she's drinking. So we're gonna wait because it takes it's a little bit of a delay, but there's a bunch of pretty amazing.
And what strikes me is that it started out with Mary, and it started out as like just a few animals, but it's I mean, you had 1,000 people walk through the door the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That's no small thing. And even if they go back home and still do their thing, they can't not think about the impact that our lifestyle has on animals. I mean, every single thing we do has an impact on something, and you really gently, as you're the gentle barn, I would be the cussing barn. You're the gentle barn. But you gently bring that home to everyone, and people leave moved.
Mm-hmm.
Do I hear horses screaming?
No.
Okay, good. I have a new horse.
Oh.
Is everyone where they're supposed to be?
Yes. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about that. Okay, so what just happened there was that we have a little guest dog,
Come on, you want to come up, Sky?
and he knocked everything over. As you all know, this is par for the course in these Facebook Lives.
He's gonna dive into your butt, your fluffy butt. Oh my god.
You know,
It just is what it is. That's the first. Okay. Anyway, and the horses are where they're supposed to be.
they are where they're supposed to be.
Maybe sit down.
Oh,
Sit down.
You're so good.
he's gonna steal the show.
He already did.
Has anyone put in there their favorite part? Or did anyone actually like the whole world falling apart?
Okay, everybody, he stole the show. He's
Yeah.
gorgeous. He's beautiful.
Isn't he gorgeous?
He is gorgeous. What a love. Yeah, you guys are pretty much, you can just leave the scene now and just leave him there.
It's true.
Sky?
All right.
He'll be back.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay. We're gonna lift that.
Okay, so sorry, I'm trying to adjust this, everybody, because there we go.
Has anyone else put in their favorite part?
Let's just keep going.
Okay. So when you think of like what your vision is, what do you want to do? I mean, some people would say you've gone as far as you could go, and then you're saying you want to have as big an impact. And I know you're as driven. We really are from the same egg, right?
Yeah.
And so what is your big vision with this?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. It's so funny because people all the time come to me and be like, oh, you must be so proud, you must feel so accomplished. And from where I'm standing now, I'm like, I haven't done anything yet. Like,
I'm just getting going.
I'm just starting. I don't have a feeling of accomplishment. Not to say that I'm not grateful for every delicious minute of the last 20 years, but I have so many more plans. So we were talking earlier about how Simon really helped me see animals and he saw me. And so I really do see animals as angels among us. They're here to heal us. They're here to teach us about forgiveness, courage, and unconditional love. And they're here to make us better human beings. And we have this very lopsided way of things in our culture now where we think we know everything and we treat animals as objects. But really what it's supposed to do is we're here in our struggles, evolving, becoming enlightened, learning life lessons, and the animals are put here to help us. They're here for their own evolution too, but everything that they are and watching them gracefully embrace death, for example, way they communicate, the way they meditate every day, the way that they're forgiving, the way that they live in every moment, they have so much to teach us just by example that I feel so deeply grateful for every animal that has ever taught me and inspired me in my life. That's what I want to be mainstream. I want to do everything I can, whether it's social media, books, TV show, movie, gentle barn locations where people can come and meet these animals. I want to do every single thing that I can to get the voice, the personality, the affection, and the intelligence of these animals out to mainstream, where everyone knows that they can talk and everyone can hear them and everyone knows that they're the same as us, they just look different, and everyone acknowledges them as the sentient beings that they are, and we can start living in harmony and lift each other up instead of living in this enslavement dynamic that we have right now. It will never last, it can never be sustained, it only brings suffering to all of us, and we have to turn it around. We have to get out of this slave mentality, and we have to open our hearts and open our eyes and hear with our souls and connect to every single living thing on this planet. And then this planet will be the most wonderful place ever. And I can see it, taste it, and smell it, and I want to live in that world. And I want to do everything I can to create it, to be part of it.
So we've got some people that are commenting. Afton Hughes, she's watching.
Hi, Afton!
She says her two favorite people. She says, I love the perseverance, the story as a whole, a journey of challenges and overcoming to build something beautiful. And then Gretchen Johnson says, I really just like the entire book, following Ellie's personal growth and journey as well as the development of the Gentle Barn movement. Oh, I like that, the Gentle Barn movement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I told Gretchen that she was the only one that she had an assignment and she had to come up with a favorite part of the book. But I'm glad that she said that. It's true, it is a movement.
Bonnie Park says, animals have truly been my angels, when you were talking about that. And then Gretchen Johnson says, speaking of movies, did everyone know there's a video of Saving Dudley, the cow, that's free to watch on Amazon Prime Video? Oh. Yes, I've seen it. And Cindy Gans Turner says, yes, what you said. Jane Jeffrey, I've only just started the book, but I love the chapter and shed a tear when the first group of troubled kids visited their incredible transformation from just being in the presence of Ellie's beautiful animal teachers and how Ellie guided them. Michelle Bay says, chills. She says, see, taste, and smell that world, chills. Yeah.
I want to go back. Jane Jeffrey will be in England at the conference you're speaking at.
Oh, nice.
She came on a White Lion trip with me 4 years. It's going to be 4 years this year. And then I've seen her 2 times in England, and she's going to see you in May, and then she's going to be here to visit in August and stay with me, and we're going to come to your house.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And and I love that too about the see, feel, what Michelle said.
See, feel, and taste.
Yeah, you know, it goes back to, in a funny way, well, I've always said that we're going to look back and just laugh out loud that we didn't think we could talk to animals, right?
Yeah, it's so absurd, right?
Yeah. And so that's my thing too, is that I want it to be completely mainstream and normal. Yeah. And that's why I have the school, and that's why I'm trying to get, a lot of people like Gretchen's gone through the program. Some people aren't going to do it as a career, but they have it as something. They may do it in shelters, or, all of it is important. And so, and that's why, I get so driven to get that out. But I think it's interesting, too, that you and I both have a Pollyanna aspect. Because, I always say, there are people that don't believe in animal communication. Where are they? But, so I've had to, that's part of the drive. And I feel like, in many ways, that's something as an exercise we could be creating for people is, how do we see, feel, and hear that? Right? How can we continue to see where animals are our friends, our neighbors, are this, are that they aren't something, slave is the perfect word. Mm-hmm. It's the perfect word. I remember going to the Slave Museum after Jane everybody flew out when I was in Cape Town from my first trip there, and I went to the Slave Museum, and I went through, and I was just so moved, and I took pictures of a bunch of the quotes. And afterwards, and I thought, we certainly have not overcome this with humans, but we haven't even started looking at this for animals. Yes. And I have pictures of every one of those quotes because I really want to, at some point, make a comparison of where, just epic fail. Yeah. Epic fail. And, it's those of us tender-hearted, sassy people that use cuss words a lot that are getting out there and will be part of the movement, whether it's the Gentle Barn movement or the Communication with All Life University movement of just, we've got to move this, we've got to move the needle on this.
Well, and we are.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the greatest times to be alive in history, and I am so excited that we're here to do this work. Me
too, and it's so funny because people are saying, a couple of my friends said, we're living in dark times. I'm like,
no,
we are?
No.
What? What are you talking about?
No, it just keeps getting better.
I think
not to say that we're arrived, not to say that there's not still darkness, not to say that there's still things that we need to work on, but it gets better every single day.
I agree. So you want to have a Gentle Barn in every state?
I used to say that. I want a Gentle Barn in every state, but that was before social media. Now with a TV show and social media, maybe I don't have to. I don't know. I just, because we're so removed from animals, I want literally everyone in the world to be able to hug cows, cuddle turkeys, give pigs tummy rubs, hold chickens in their arms, look in the eyes of these animals and know for certain that we're all the same. Now, if I need to do a Gentle Barn in every single state in the world to accomplish that, then I will. or
You
can I
live
do
in
it?
the airport. You would be
Well,
living in the
I
airport.
already do.
Yeah.
If I could do it through a TV show, if I could do it through my books, like whatever it takes. But I want everyone to be able to look these animals in the eye and feel what happens in the heart when we do that, and we realize, oh my God, we're all the same.
That's so beautiful. I think that's the meditation that has to come for all of us. It's like whether you meditate regularly or you just want to start, like maybe at the end, if we could all just see people connecting with animals. I know you do in your daily meditation. I do too, a little bit differently than you, but it's, that's, I think, after the book club, that's the assignment, right? Like that's the assignment. We have to just start really including that in our vision. And when we see something go really south, like, regulations have been changed on this animal being hunted or things like that, we just have to remember that, we can try and do something about it, and we can also need to just hold space for the planet to evolve to such a place that won't even become something that anybody would think was okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have some comments and questions.
Okay.
But, okay, so Jane Jeffrey says, yes, I can't wait to meet you, Ellie, and hear your talk. Afton Hughes says, yes, what an incredible shift would happen if everyone learned how to talk to animals. We're going back.
Yeah.
So, hold on.
That's my goal, is just get everyone doing it. Because,
Yeah.
I think that, I always say that at the Hope for Animal Summit, my whole thing was the evolution of animal communication. I think it'd be a great installation at like the Animal Museum or something. But anyway, I feel like there's so many places where animal communication was part of the culture. And then once we started really enslaving them, we had to, the medical community poo-pooed it and made it just no way. Because what are you hiding back there with rabbits with one eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the medical community is going to say no. And of course, the food industry is going to say no. So science and religion, they a lot of times had rituals that were around animals. So between those two, we got laughed at. But the truth is, we're coming out in bold numbers, and I think it really is the key to world peace. But
So, tying exactly into what the two of you are talking about, Gretchen Johnson says she has a question. I would say Southern California is a friendly environment for farm animal rescue and veganism. What is the environment where your other two gentle barns are, and how are people reacting? That's a great question.
That's a great question. And Gretchen Afton is on here, and she also has a pig sanctuary in Tennessee. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And as a matter of fact, when we opened in Tennessee and opened in St. Louis, I was worried about that. I was like, wow, how is this going to go, and how are they going to receive us? And are they going to want to run us off, or are they going to embrace us? And the truth of the matter is that it has been absolutely fine. We started in Knoxville, then we moved to Nashville, and then we opened in St. Louis. And in all three of those locations, we've had nothing but a warm welcome and support. It's funny how most people identify themselves as animal lovers, even when they're raising animals for slaughter, even when they have a dairy, even when they do things that we might consider egregious to animals. Most people still identify themselves as animal lovers.
I know.
And so we don't position the Gentle Barn as trying to preach or tell people what they should do. We position the Gentle Barn like, if you love animals, come meet them. And the message is so gentle that we have not had a problem.
You know what else? We were in a restaurant. I went to go teach the volunteers in Tennessee. And when I got in, me and Jay went out for dinner at that vegan restaurant. And we were sitting there talking about, I was freaking out because my house sitter had not shown up.
Yeah.
But it was before I really was putting it all together. Anyway, we're sitting there having dinner, and the next thing you know, somehow we started talking to the people next to us in the restaurant, and they went crazy over the fact that this was Ellie and Jay, that they'd always wanted to be go to the Gentle Barn. So it's so going back to Gretchen's question, it's got its own little kind of fame and build happening, and it will just take the time that it takes, right?
So Afton actually says, we are in a rural, small farmer community. Ellie taught me a lot about how to communicate with people, how to present your work and your goals. That reminds me of the part in your book where you had one of the volunteers slap Duncan, and here's your bacon. And I've seen you present. I went vegan because of you. You know that, because of Buddha and Big Bird. So, but you don't ever shame. You don't ever like get in people's faces. You just tell a story.
You do what you do, and that's why I do what I do, because I couldn't do what you do. Because I would have some kind words.
And Gretchen Johnson says, that's very cool and a very good approach. Next question. How has it been for you with gentle barns in places where you can't be every day? Have you had any challenges with finding and trusting your people in each place?
Yeah, it's been very challenging. There's been a lot of growth over the last several years in that respect, because it's easy to have a gentle barn for 20 years in Los Angeles, and I live on the property and I'm daily communicating with the staff and training people, but it's an entirely different thing when I live in California and I have to fly to these places and I'm not there every single day, and it is one of our biggest challenges. In Missouri, it worked out because the woman who runs Missouri, her name is Michelle, and she actually started in California as a volunteer, and then I hired her as my assistant, and I trained her for 8 years to do what I do. So she's off in Missouri kicking butt. I mean, she is just a rock star. But I didn't have anyone next in line to go to Nashville. So we're still kind of trying to train people, but not living there, and we're still trying to find. It's a journey.
It's right.
It's a
this
journey.
Minute, it's a journey. Right.
Right this very
and
second.
So if anyone wants to go, if you have horse experience, you're vegan, and you want to run a gentle barn, there's a spot in Nashville.
And the way you run your barn, it's possibly one of the cleanest, most well-maintained rescues I've been to. So, and that was what a lot of my classmates were commenting on that were from out of town, going, this place is immaculate.
Yeah.
Because you try to make it for them, for the animals. You were very big on that.
Yeah, I mean, I have two theories. One is that animals in the wild would not stand in their poop. You know, they go to the bathroom and they keep walking. So if we're going to fence them in, then we're almost forcing them to be in their poop, so it becomes our responsibility to clean up after them. So I'm, the minute they poop, I'm like, clean up on aisle 2, and my staff knows, like, they're vigilant. But the other thing that is important to me is that the gentle barn is the example. I'm bringing people in that have never met these animals, and if it's smelly and dirty and they step in something and it soils their shoes, they're going to have this negative association with animals. I want to be the example. I want to show them it's spotless, it smells good, the animals are approachable, it feels good. That's the association I want them to take away and remember from the gentle barn.
Yeah, and that's just the environment. That's not even talking about how you treat the animals and how you expect people to treat them when they walk through the doors, which is in your book.
Yeah, and Gretchen, going back to the Missouri thing, that is really growing. Yeah. You guys are really, and that's got a definite. It's in a big growth cycle. Mm-hmm. So that's very cool.
And Gretchen said that poop thing, that's a great way to look at it and a reason to clean up the litter box frequently. Or get your teenager to. Interesting.
Yeah. Gretchen doesn't have a teenager. Gretchen is the teenager.
She is the teenager. Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
I'm just going back. I just want to make sure I haven't missed any. My phone is not showing all the questions, so... Sorry, I keep moving the phone.
Where are we with time?
Oh, that's a really good question. We have, it's 10:40.
Okay, all right. And I have to remind people about the spring intensive because we go to the gentle barn. We have to nail down the dates.
Yeah.
So the spring intensive is coming up. I want to remind people it's April 3rd through the 11th, and it's animal communication for 3 days, EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping for 3 days, and animal communication in sanctuaries, and we can do EFT. So that's 9 days, lots of fun. If you're thinking about doing it, we still have the early bird special, and with that there's a bonus of the animal communication home study course, the fundamentals, which is digital online, the digital for 12 weeks, and talk to the animals, so you can do a little animal communication before you show up.
and it's a beautiful time of year to be here and to
Yeah.
go to the Gentle Barn and the other sanctuaries. It truly is.
Yeah, it is.
So,
And, also, I'll be teaching EFT at Edgar Casey's ARE in end of March, last weekend of March. I'm speaking at the Dynamite Conference if you're with Dynamite. And
on the
what else?
15th.
On the 15th
of March.
And then June, I'm doing a summer camp in Boston where it's animal communication, EFT, death and dying, and then we're going to go to a therapeutic riding center and talk to horses and do tapping. So that's really fun also.
Okay, let me see if there's any questions, because, okay.
All right. So when you think about how far you've gone, do you ever just kind of get excited about what you've done?
I mean, not on a daily, but every once in a while, I'll kind of like have this view from out of my body, kind of like looking at, oh my God, I have 3 locations. Oh my God, I'm in an airport traveling to another location. This is so
With my cute
exciting.
dog.
Yeah, with my cute dog and my wonderful husband. And I think like, wow, I am so lucky to live this life. And
Yeah.
I can't wait to do more.
So if you were to, one thing we talk about a lot is the idea of the empath and the journey, and it's a piece that a lot of healers kind of forget, or people in rescue. So what would you say is one of the biggest things that somebody that wants to do this work that they could do for themselves?
You know what? We were kind of talking about it on the hike today. The ingredients, if you look at any Marvel hero, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, whatever their heroes are, if you look at any hero, if you look at anyone that, Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Mother Teresa, Jane Goodall, if you look at anyone that has done incredible things on this planet or even wants to, the recipe for how that's created is we're born and we have to go through struggle. And through that struggle, we have to find ourselves and we have to heal ourselves. And once we do that, then we have an incredible gift to pay forward to the world. I don't know why it's designed that way, but it is.
Yeah.
It just is. I think that through our struggle and our pain, we're forced to remember who we are, whereas if we have easy street, we're not going to really look at ourselves. And I think that through our struggle, we're forced to develop empathy and awareness that we wouldn't have otherwise had. If I was born into a family that just loved and accepted me exactly how I was, and I had no loneliness, and I didn't know what it felt like to be awkward and all the things that I felt, I don't know, I'd be a Kardashian. I'd be like, sitting around eating bonbons. I don't know.
Paris Hilton. That's so funny.
Not to say anything bad about them.
Right. They get to be who they are.
But I chose to do this work before I incarnated. I chose to do something really important and really big on this planet before I incarnated, and so did you.
Yeah.
And in order to get us to where we are today, we had to suffer, we had to get lost, we had to get found, we had to get healed, and then we had we had something to offer to the world. And so I would say that the biggest thing that people can do, whether they want to start their own sanctuary or become an animal communicator or become an artist or whatever dream anyone has inside of themselves, the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves on our journeys and for others to be inspired by us is to really dedicate ourselves to our healing process and to our growth. And I think that's why your classes are so important. Yes, people learn energy work and animal communication. They can do it as a career, and that's all great. But there's a much bigger, more important aspect of the work that you do,
Absolutely.
which is that we live in a society where we are not taught to listen to our own intuition. We are not taught to trust ourselves. We are not taught to follow our impulses. We are literally told, probably from the minute we start to crawl and walk, from our families of origin, and then later definitely in school, sit down, be quiet, follow the rules, don't touch that, don't do that, don't go there. We are constantly told to not listen to our own impulses and not listen to our instincts. And so by the time we graduate high school, we don't know who we are, we don't know why we've come, and we couldn't connect to another being if our lives depended on it. So the work that you're doing is so important because it's not only teaching people animal communication, connection, and energy work, but it's training people to listen to themselves, to follow their own intuition, and to listen to that still small voice inside of every single one of us. And that is what's going to save the planet.
I agree. Thank you. I agree. And one of the things that happens in when the energy healing for animals, when people are in the big program, is they get they think they're learning how to tap on animals, but their household gets healed.
Yeah.
And they, the animals, they have more harmony with their animals, and there's something that's like, ooh, like their heart re-breaks open into a different place, definitely.
I could be a walking billboard for that.
Yeah, Claudia is definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew Claudia before she did the program.
Yeah, Claudia came to the Gentle Barn. She was on my board of directors for a while. She knew all our founding animals. Claudia and I go way back.
And do you remember what I said to you when I came back? When we came back for the fall intensive, when I started the fall intensive, and I saw you and I hugged you, because I disappeared on you for a long time.
Yeah.
I said I had to do a lot of healing before I came back. And this past year in this program, that's the one thing I didn't expect to happen, and I think it's the biggest thing that has happened for me. Besides, obviously, my business, but that was always there waiting. I just needed to get through, like you said, all the healing.
Yeah, we're here to be lost so we can be found, and that's why I call it the Great Awakening, or I could even call it like the Great Remembering. We're born intuitive beings. We're born connected. We're born knowing that there's a beautiful place that we've come from that we will return to when we're done with these physical shells. But we forget that in our society. So in this Great Remembering, we can discover ourselves and remember who we really are and make this planet something beautiful.
It's funny, my fall intensive is called the Remember Intensive. The spring is called the Renewal.
Nice.
But the fall is called the Remember Intensive. And it's about remembering who we are, remembering we can talk to animals, remembering this is normal.
And I like to say about my book, because a lot of people think it's like an animal rights book, and so a lot of people are like, oh, I can't read that, it's going to be too depressing or too horrific. And I'm like, no.
It's so beautiful.
It's like it's a self-help, self-empowerment book disguised as an animal book, disguised as a love story, and disguised as, but really I think what the inspiration behind the book was just to remind people that we have that still small voice inside of all of us, and every single one of us has born with a gift inside of us that we are here to share with the world. And the fastest way to discover what we're here to share is to heal ourselves, to heal our hearts, to open our souls, and to communicate with all of us.
And when I say that I had little tears almost over every page, they were tears of sweetness. Some of them were sad, but it was really like, like what somebody said in the beginning, that they loved the first time, the first group you brought in, and I love that they were late, and you were like, oh, they're not going to show up. And the next thing you know, it was just so rich.
Thank you.
So we have some people here. Ruth Curry. Hi, Ruth. She says, hi, all. What an amazing and inspirational session. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Colette says, wow, Ellie, yes, to what you were saying. Gretchen says, you are so right, Ellie. I'm still on that journey. Claire Tross says, my mission is to... Hold on. It keeps moving. My mission is to educate people about animal welfare. I will write 4 books and open the Sanctuary of Hope here in Scotland. Currently healing from a traumatic brain injury through which I lost almost every memory of my life.
Wow.
I am so grateful to hear this. Welcome to the tribe.
Wow.
You are Claire, yeah.
And you know what? You can, if you're in Scotland, you can see Ellie in May at the World Animal Energy Conference. Maybe Jane can type in the whole real actual name because I forget what it is.
It's the Animal Energy World Conference in Manchester. Yeah. In Manchester on May 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be doing a meditation on Friday and hosting the gala on Saturday and then speaking on Sunday. I'm very excited about it.
Okay, so
I did it 2 years ago. It was really, really fun.
So Cindy Gans Turner says, I never used to cry until Joan Ranquet. She used your full name, by the way. Rose DeDan says, yes, as a shaman, Reiki, energy healer, and animal communicator, I absolutely agree that our personal healing is the most important thing we can do to help the animals in the earth, and the animals agree. Afton Hughes says, I needed this today.
Good.
Michael Hoferbert says, love your work, Ellie.
Michael.
And Claire Trost says, thank you. Trost
Okay.
says, thank you.
Thank you. Michael and I know each other from the theater, like when we were 17 or 18. So I love
That's
that he's
amazing.
here. Yeah. Okay, so The Gentle Barn, My Gentle Barn, if you didn't read it, start now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice to spend time with you, and nice to spend time with all of you. Thank you for being on this planet with me. I think our futures are going to be beautiful.
Yeah, me too.
Especially with teachers like the two of you. So,
Thank you.
all right, everybody, thank you. If you have any last questions, I'll give you guys a few seconds for them to show up. Bonnie Park says she loves the book.
Okay. Next week, I want to say, the theme is animal communication. I'm live with Joan, and so I thought we would talk about the journey of the empath and do a little tapping around compassion fatigue so that we can get out of our heads and out of our broken hearts and really get out there. So that's next week.
Yeah, so big thanks, many hugs from Colette. Jane Jeffrey says the link for the conference. She put the link for the conference.
Thank you. I knew somebody was more organized than me. I'm pretty organized though, but thank you.
Not when you're in front of the camera.
Yeah.
You're focusing on that. And okay, thank you everyone. We look forward to seeing you next week. And just a reminder, this will be kept on the page. All you have to do is go to the files or the videos that are saved. Yasmin Bender says such a great discussion. And aren't you doing something Thursday live?
Oh yeah, I'm going to come in and talk about the spring intensive.
Just answer some questions.
Just answer some questions because I get so many emails that I want to just answer them all at once.
So 11 o'clock on Thursday. 10 o'clock on Thursday.
10 o'clock.
Sorry, my bad. 10 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah.
And everybody said, okay, Jane says, thank you both. This was wonderful.
Thank you.
Bernadette says, thank you, Ellie, Joan, and Claudia. You're amazing. Love you, Bernadette. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.